Narcissists can't be alone. And there are a couple of reasons why this happens. The first one really has to do with their formative years. This child would have been extremely spoilt by their narcissistic parents. Their dreams would have been lived out within their child. And their emotional needs were never met. They weren't seen as a child. They weren't given the time, the space, and also the emotional support that they needed to be able to grow into a self-actualized adult. They never have or ever have had a sense of self. And every whim would have been attended to by their parents. Then you have the other side of the coin where the child would have never been seen. They would have been traumatically, psychologically, emotionally abused, where again, the child's psychological and emotional needs were not met. And so the child was invisible. So what the child had to do is understand that them as themselves, they aren't good enough. Their parents don't love them. So they were rejected by their parents. So they had to learn that in order for them to be accepted by the parents, they have to change something about them. And the child goes through an emotional breakdown. But the child doesn't know that they're going through an emotional breakdown at the time. What they know is that they have to change because their parents don't love them. They have to evolve and become someone that their parents want them to be. Either way, both resulting adults share the same inability to survive being alone. It's all to do with coping. They just can't cope. They can't cope being in their own company. Okay, they only have themselves because they're stuck in this darkness in their mind. They don't trust anybody else because remember, their caregivers, their parents let them down. They weren't seen as themselves. They don't have a sense of self. So for this neglected child, you can understand the need for continual company, considering this void of love and affection experienced during these formative years. So the narcissist will want to push these feelings down, will want to push these memories down because they don't want to look at it. They don't want to re-experience it. So they spend their lives trying to forget about it, trying to mold themselves, become somebody else because they don't want to feel that void. They don't want to feel rejected. And this is why they have a lot of people around them. This is why they have a lot of exes that they keep in contact, because this is part of the attachment disorder. They don't want to not have anybody. They don't want to feel rejected. So if they discard you, if they give you the silent treatment, it means that they got there before you did or discovered what they are like. They need to do this to ensure their own survival because psychologically and emotionally, they wouldn't be able to survive. They wouldn't be able to get through this. Their ego would not let them. So this comes from their childhood. This is ultimately because of their childhood. They can't be alone. They need to collect people. They need to have people around them because they can't cope. And this is why they have a lot of maybe extramarital affairs. This is why they have a lot of partners, never committing to either one of them because they can't fully come to the table. They can't come to this relationship being their authentic selves because they don't know who their authentic selves are. They are a representation of who you want them to be in the relationship. So whilst, no, it's not an act, but it is because it's not them. They mirror you, they gaslight you, they love bomb you because they want you to believe a certain fantasy, an illusion of who you would want them to be. But once this all fades, the reality of the situation kicks in. And that's when they start to realize that perhaps maybe my partner, the victim, is beginning to see through this. So they have to keep trying to upkeep this facade. But it's not true. It's not really them. And that's where it becomes problematic. That's where it becomes dysfunctional. And it becomes incredibly taxing on their emotional and psychological energy. So painful that they want to avoid this at all costs. So you see, even though they are this spoiled child or an abused child, completely different upbringings, but what happens is they are continually lost in this world of deceit, in this world of pain, and they then project that onto you. So you, as a survivor of this abuse, really understand and feel what they are going through, what they have gone through. They don't know any other way because they think this is normal. They think that this is what everybody goes through. And in some way, they try to punish you because you didn't have the same upbringing that they had, but they want you to know that. They want you to feel that pain. And this is the projection. When you have parents that give you everything, okay, all your wants and needs financially are taken care of, it creates this disturbance in the child because you don't have to worry about anything because everything's taken care of. So it hardly creates an individual best able to cope with adversity on their own. Or when you have a child where everything is taken away from you and you are not accepted as you are, again, you are not an individual that can cope in the world because you've never been shown that, you've never had that. So you have to kind of build on this idea of what you think the best way to cope is. And as you can see, that either one of these scenarios creates a person not able to be able to live alone or be alone in the world. It's not an option. You're always running away from that. It's a mixture of both practical and emotional needs that can only be fulfilled through close contact with others. If only the emotional part was so simple, but unfortunately, extreme upbringings produce extreme characters. Needing someone in your life is the one thing that you need, but then having to control another person is another aspect altogether. In either case, you never have a healthy relationship with a narcissist. They don't know how to. You can't change it. It can't be cured. It is as it is.